Welcome back to another episode of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is Friday, July 29th, and I'm Ryan. Normally, you hear me for, Impact Power Hours, and the occasional AEW or New Japan thing, the predictions, podcasts, the pay-per-view summarization shows. But trying out a new podcast here today. Few years ago when NXT UK started, I was a big fan of it, and then kind of just stopped watching a lot of WWE product, just didn't enjoy it as much, and the no crowds and stuff like that just kind of was not a thing that I was enjoying, and NXT UK had their long break during the pandemic, so just stopped watching, stopped following, but decided, hey, I'm done with school now, for a while, done with school, but have some extra free time on my hand for a bit, so when I can, I'm going to start doing these NXT UK reviews, as long as people are into it, if people are listening to it, and want me to continue with them, I'll continue with them, but yeah, so started with yesterday's episode. It's been a while. I know some of the people, don't know some of the other people, but we'll get on into that. If you guys are interested, please follow Deep Six Wrestling on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling. Subscribe to our YouTube, Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on any platform. We are on almost every major podcast platform at this point. It is free. It is easy. Leave us comments. Leave us reviews. Whatever you guys want to do works. So let's get on into this. It's probably going to be shorter than most episodes of podcasts that we do, just because it is only, it's actually a little less than an hour episodes, 3 matches. But yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've watched NXT UK, so I don't believe when I was watching it before that they had the production that they were doing for this show. Not that the production level has changed, but at the beginning of the show, we get a rundown of what the matches are going to be, how they came about, which I think for somebody who's just hopping in, makes a lot of sense. If you want to attract new viewers, if you want to try to attract viewers that maybe missed an episode, this is a good way to kind of fill them in by giving a rundown of the matches, giving a brief synopsis basically of what happened last week or whatever week it was that set these matches up. So I think that's a really good job. So we start off the main show with the actual wrestling. It is the NXT UK Tag Team Championship match between Wild Boar and Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews still representing the subculture, while his other stablemates are out injured. And Last time I saw Wild Boar, he was tag teaming with Primate. I don't know if that's still a thing in NXT UK. I'm sure if you watch NXT UK and you hear me say this, you're going to be like, oh, wow, this really dates you. But yeah, they're facing the current NXT UK champs, Brooks. I think it's Brooks Jensen and Jackson Briggs. If I got their names correct, Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. My mistake. I have not seen. I don't watch NXT 2.0. I don't really follow NXT 2.0 too much, but I know these guys are from over there, and I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy them. I wasn't sure if they were going to be any good, but this match I thought was really good. This is a really enjoyable kickoff match for this show. The crowd are really into Mark Andrews, and I mean, I think he has been one of the stalwarts of NXT UK from when I started to watch it. I think it helps that some people knew him from his time on the indie scene, his time that he still stays on the indie scene, as well as his time in Impact as Mandrews. So I think that helped that people knew who he was, and still know who he is, and he's been there for so long at this point that he just feels like one of the people who've been one of the veterans, I guess I'd say, of the NXT UK divisions. Wild Boar, I again haven't really watched too much of him, but from what he did in this match, I thoroughly enjoyed it. He is a workhorse. This man was out wrestling Brooks Jensen to start off the match. Jensen, much bigger individual than both of these guys. He's very tall. I don't know how tall he is, but he is a very tall man. And him and Josh Briggs have really good chemistry. They really know how to tag, when to tag in and out. And I think maybe part of this is because Mark Andrews and Wild Boar are not normally a team. Normally, like I said, Mark Andrews has his own stable. All of them are out injured, so into this tag team he is. And I think just because they aren't used to tagging all the time as much as Jensen and Briggs have been, or Briggs and Jensen, I'm still getting used to everything and how I'm going to be calling them. But yeah, I thought that these guys, Wild Boar and Jensen, had a really good starting off point for this match. Their actual wrestling abilities were on display here, and I thought that Wild Boar really impressed. Again, Jensen and Briggs really knew when to make tags. They were acting as a tag team that knows each other. They know when the other one needs a break, so they'll call for the tag. Whereas, from what I was watching, Mark Andrews and Wild Boar are kind of all over the place. They wanted to keep the energy. They wanted to go all out at Briggs and Jensen. And so they might hop in and try to do double team maneuvers that, aren't like an actual tag maneuver, but they'd want to go on the offensive with both of them at the same time. They did double team Jensen, but Jensen was able to get the tag to Briggs. And the champs really started to take control after this. The main goal after this point was just to work down the smaller guy in Mark Andrews. And they did this for a majority of the match. They did have a really cool spot where Briggs and Jensen had taken control of Mark Andrews. They're going for a double team power bomb, but he was able to hit his Stun Dog Millionaire to get out of it, and hit the hot tag for Wild Boar. Crowd really was happy with this. They were really behind Wild Boar. And he started to take control. He was getting some near falls, but Andrews would come in, and unfortunately, this would be the end. Andrews would end up losing after he missed a shooting star press. Briggs and Jensen hit their high-low combination finisher, and that was the end of this. They retained their titles. I thought this was a good match. This was a good introduction point for me for who Briggs and Jensen are. As like, I guess the basically from what they look like, the American stereotypical rednecks, but they're good. The crowd seemed to enjoy them, and both teams shook hands at the end, a little nod, and that would take us to our next segment. This is a backstage segment where Ilja Dragunov is warming up for the main event, his title defense against Wolfgang, and then we get this really weird segment with Tyler Bate, who just walks through a door and just stares at the camera, and then he like calls for the camera to get closer, and then he walks to the camera. He's trying to call out Trent Seven. He says he's disappointed, he's heartbroken, he loved him, he was a brother, he was like family, and he took that all away, and now he's going to go after him. Trent can't hide anymore because he's coming and he's going to find him, and then he just drops the camera and nobody picks it. It was I'm very confused on if this camera was just set up there or if there was a cameraman there. I don't know. It was very odd. Yeah. After this is highlights of a women's press conference between with Meiko Satomura, the current NXT UK champion, or UK Women's Champion, and Sarray from NXT 2.0. And basically, they're just highlighting their match. Sarray says that she is going to put the sunset onto Satomura's reign. She's the Sun Warrior. Things like that. They pose for some photos. They stare at each other. Again, not too familiar with Sarray. I remember Meiko from one of the Mae Young Classics, I believe. After this was Blair Davenport versus Amale. Again, not too familiar with Amale and what she does. The crowd really likes her. She's the French Hope. And Blair Davenport has been one of my favorite women's wrestlers for the last few years. Started watching her in the WCPW days on YouTube. That's where I first found out about really not found out, but just started following a lot of the UK stuff for a bit through that. Just watched some of her Stardom stuff, watched her when she came to AEW for a bit. And this is my first taste of her in NXT UK. I thought, compared to the men's tag match at the beginning, the theme songs or entrance themes for these two were piss poor. I thought they were super generic. It just shows that, the WWE themes for quite some time have been pretty bad. And both of these, in my opinion, are very low tier themes. They are not memorable. If you want to be a big deal, gonna need to get a better theme. And that's not on either of these two because they don't make their themes. But dear God, these are two very, very generic themes. Blair's at multiple points, you could not even hear it. So that's good. But Blair definitely is someone who I think they have a lot of faith in. I'd hope they do, at least, because she's fantastic. She definitely feels much more like someone who knows what they're doing and knows how to handle TV and filmed wrestling. She kept on like whenever there were like breaks in the action, she knew where to look. She knew where the cameras were going to be focused on. She knows how to taunt, and it definitely shows that, you know, she's been a big deal in other companies before. And I think, barring her injury last year, or at the beginning of this year, she probably would be women's champion, I'd assume. I mean, I'd hope. I don't know. But I feel like she would have been a bigger deal and made NXT UK a bit of a bigger deal, just because people recognize her. This is not a super long match. This was the shortest of the 3 matches, but it was a pretty good match. I thought that these two had pretty good chemistry. It was a very hard-hitting match. The story here, midway through, was Blair went for some sort of move with her, like top or jumping move off of the, I believe, middle rope. And it looked like she tweaked her ankle, which commentary pointed out was the same ankle that she had previously injured and she's just coming back from. And it looked like this might have a hamper on this match, but it didn't. But it allowed Amale to take control for a bit. But Davenport was too big. She does end up getting out of what was called the Hope Breaker, I guess is Amale's finisher. She goes for a roll-up. Amale kicks out and then follows it up with a really hard-hitting knee to the face into the Falcon Arrow for the win. Yeah, crowd doesn't like Blair. She plays a good heel. Yeah, not much else to say about this. After this, we get a vignette, a video thing of Oliver Carter, who went to Familia. I don't speak. I think Italian. So I don't know this group. But they did a voiceover about this dinner party, and he's swapping his voice to sound like different people, and he writes a letter, and then D Familie look at it, they find the table, and they're very upset. I guess this is a feud that's going on. Again, just came into this, so don't know what this story is, or who any of these people are. But yeah, after this, this is what I like to see. A good comedy character who's relatable. This is Shaw Samuels, who is the East End bookie. And he is down bad. This man is just trying to, get away from people who are cashing in bets that he is losing money. He's lost all his money at this point. He cannot pay back people's bets. And so he's giving the clothes off his back. He's got nice shoes, not anymore. He had decent socks, they're gone. He's got multiple layers of track jackets that he has to give away. And this was just fantastic stuff. I think that it's very relatable to people who have ever done sports betting. That some people are just down bad in sports betting. You see it all the time. But you don't really see a bookie down this bad, where everybody cashed in on it. Good stuff. I thought this was fantastic. And if you listen to our Impact Power Hour stuff, you know that myself and Angela are very big fans of Johnny Swinger. I feel like this character is very much in the Swinger vein of just a very goofy character that is there for laughs, and he delivers, because I was thoroughly enjoying this segment. We did get a backstage segment, I believe, after the women's match with Wolfgang warming up with Gallus backing him. So, yeah. After this, we get like a collage or a PowerPoint, basically, of a bunch of pictures of the Chase U crew from 2.0, and that they will be coming to NXT UK next week. And then we also get the match announcements for next week that, other than Chase U, we will also be having Rohan Raja of D Familia versus Oliver Carter. And as well as Meiko Satomura versus Sarray for the NXT UK Women's title. This will take us to our main event. It is Ilja Dragunov versus Wolfgang. Interesting point here is made that this is Wolfgang's, at least commentary says this is Wolfgang's first ever chance at the NXT UK Championship in a singles match. I guess not counting the NXT UK tournaments, because he was in at least one of them. That's how I'm familiar with him. So yeah, it definitely seems odd that, he's been there since basically the beginning, and hasn't had a real title shot. So cool to see that he's finally getting one. Ilja just feels like a star. The crowd goes crazy for him. They're singing along with his theme. He's got this weird jacket, though. I don't know what that was about. It looks like a boxer jacket with fur on it. Yeah, I also don't know if there was a heel in this match, because the crowd liked both guys. So that's cool. Face versus face, I guess. Or one of them's a heel, but he's a cool heel and people like him. I don't know. Wolfgang did feel like he was working as the heel as this match went on. They did, I believe, shake hands at the beginning of this match. But pretty early on, Ilja takes a really, really hard back bump, where he just starts writhing in pain. He has to get the ref to look at him for a bit. But as he is getting looked at, Wolfgang senses his opportunity and starts wailing on his back for a bit. But this, right afterward, or a little bit afterwards, Ilja decides, you know what, I'm going to try to counter this. And he goes and tries to lift up Wolfgang, and he just can't do it because his back gives out. Wolfgang takes control again. Ilja tries to counter. But this time he messes up his ankle, and you can see it twists weird. And now he can't walk properly. He's got the ref looking at him again. Wolfgang stays back a little bit this time, I guess maybe sensing that maybe this might be a legit thing. But then he gets quickly back onto offense for a bit. Again, just wailing and targeting this back over and over again. He does have a really weird move here where he goes and throws Ilja into the turnbuckles. And he looks like he's trying to throw him with his back against the turnbuckles, but instead, Ilja twists himself, and it looks like his head and neck hit first before anything, and he just screeches out here. And this is where the crowd kind of starts to be like, okay, what's going on? It gets kind of awkward. There's some weird murmuring going on. It felt like the old cafeteria noise that me and Angela would complain about during the Impact no crowd shows when they finally introduced crowd noise to it, where it was just awkward. Wolfgang does start to, again, try to take it to Ilja, but Ilja gets some control here. He finally gets the upper hand, and he goes and tries to, like, go off the ropes, and his back touches the ropes, and he just starts squealing and writhing in pain again. There was no touching of him by Wolfgang. Wolfgang was on the opposite side. And Nigel McGuinness on commentary says that he's never seen an injury like this to any competitor, let alone Ilja, that's making it so uncomfortable to watch. So I thought this was interesting. Again, no clue if this was a legit thing, that like Ilja's messed up his back legit. I do know that, spoiler, it's been known that he has relinquished his title due to injury, and I don't know if it's from this. I don't know what the injury is. I just know that it happened, but very odd. I've, again, never seen a spot where somebody just is in so much pain that, you know, they can't even run the ropes like this without like yelling and screaming in pain and rolling and jumping up and down off the ground. It's very odd. Ilja did end up taking control towards the end of this match. He does finally lift up Wolfgang, and this gets a big pop. Commentary says that they didn't think he could lift somebody this big. I feel like Walter, when Walter was champ, I wasn't watching NXT at that point still. I don't know if he was able to lift Walter, but Walter's a big man, and was a big man. So I feel like Walter was probably a bigger guy than Wolfgang, but it's probably with all the storyline injuries or actual injuries that were suffered in this match, definitely was surprising. And this would allow Ilja to take control, hit the torpedo. He yells again in pain, but he does pick up the win. Both guys do shake hands at the end, but Dragunov does win and is still the champ. I thought this was a good match, not great, and I think if there was an actual injury, that's probably what had it. That definitely made it awkward, definitely made it a difficult match to work through, but it was just a very oddly paced match. And if there wasn't an injury, it's just a weird way to have this match go. Overall, I would give this show a thumbs in the middle. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was bad. I'd say it was just fine. The main event was lackluster for me. The women's match was good. Again, it definitely hurts that I guess for me that I don't know everybody yet. So hopefully they kind of explain things as time goes on so you can get to know people a little bit better. The East End bookie stuff, that was a big positive, and the tag title match to begin the show was a good match. So yeah, I'd go thumbs in the middle, pointing up a little bit, edging their way up there. So thank you guys for being on this journey with me. I'll be back next week at least for another episode of NXT UK. We can see how if you guys are enjoying it. But yeah, let us know, and we'll see you next time. Bye.